So thank you very much, everyone. Really excited to be here, and thank you for coming, even though the weather is, as always in the Netherlands, bad. There are a lot of traffic. And today we're talking about data, technology, machine learning, artificial intelligence. But before we dive deeper into the context, let me tell you a story. And this story is not about data, it's about people. And to start over, I want to start over with Mugdim, a very dear friend of mine, who I met during a party 10 years ago. And I started my own company, and this was a software solution company. And Mugdim told me, well, if you're in software solutions, please talk with the guy that moved from the Netherlands to Sarajevo and started his own company. That is Haris Memic and his co-founder Muammar Cissia, because they're doing great things. So I went on a plane, traveled to Sarajevo, signed my own deal, but as you know in the Netherlands, but I believe also in the rest of the world, unknown makes unloved. So I had a great team of people, but actually wasn't delivering. I had no projects because I was studying still. I had my own company, but you know, no network at all. Anyhow, fast forwarding 10 years, Symphony is a great company doing projects for Silicon Valley from San Francisco, Sarajevo, Novi Sad, Belgrade, Skopje, and nowadays in Amsterdam. So this was a very good switch for me, explaining your question, and I came home. What I want to elaborate here is actually the value of your network, and something that artificial intelligence actually never going to take over. The sentiment and the emotion that you have when you meet another person, the smiles and exchange of feelings. So I see everybody like dispersed throughout the audience. What I would like you to ask is to shake hands with your neighbors and get acquainted if you don't know them like yet. Not everybody at the same time. Yeah, it's a network event. It's not I speak and you listen event. So it's an interactive session. So if you have questions or say, want to prove me wrong, just raise your hand, so let's do it like that. I don't know if we were running out of the time. I believe we are, but nevertheless, let's do it like that. So diving into the artificial intelligence, or artificial stupidity as I would call it, the whole world is full of it. So when we open LinkedIn, we have tremendous amount of news about job loss, about robots are taking over, all these terrible things that are going to happen to us. And the funny thing is that when we look at the exchange of knowledge in the last 50 or 60 years, the only thing that's changed is processor speed and storage. The concepts and methodologies in machine learning are still 60, 70 years old. So there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. And we're still pretending that we are going to change the world and how we're going to cope with it. And this gives a lot of stress at companies because they do not know how to cope with this. They didn't make the transition into a data-driven company, so they're panically attacking AI, moving into data sciences without even elaborating on the thesis, which problems are we going to solve? And to be quite frankly, there are more elements to artificial intelligence that we want to know. So first of all, we have intelligence augmentation. What is that? You have data, we want to mimic our brain function, so you have data and you want to search it, we have a search engine. So this is intelligence augmentation, mimicking some of the brain functions and of our use cases to do something with data. Then we have intelligent infrastructure, which is, as we know it, Internet of Things, collecting data from body, from buildings, from smart cities, etc., and doing something with that data. And all these things should power artificial intelligence. But this is not happening yet. We're too far. And we will look at it, and we look at the news flood. You see that the scientists are actually saying, well, you know, these are all jobs that are going to disappear. And for me, it's always a funny thing. When you look at it, it's always a scientific party. So it's always viewing to the world on a petri dish level. They have never seen a big company in the complexity of a process within that company, and don't know the business problems they have to solve. And better than they are still saying, well, robot is going to do everything for us. But let's see what artificial intelligence is. So we're mimicking our brain. We want artificial intelligence to take over our functions. So we have vision, we have speech recognition, we have natural language processing, we have image recognitions, we have robotics, etc. And all these things are individual. There is no solution that incorporates all these things. So if you have that, the integration, then maybe we could talk about artificial intelligence. But still, it's not on its own. We made it, we processed it, we developed it. So artificial intelligence is not one thing. And we're already producing some on post-SAMP level solutions that solve business problems, but we're doing it. So there is no intelligence at all. And we're still comparing human intelligence with artificial intelligence. I'll talk about that in the next slide. But how many of you do have kids? Please raise your hand. Okay, did you pre-program them to learn anything? Oh, I see a gentleman did. Indoctrination, yes. So children learn by example, and they apply the knowledge to the general understanding of things. And they have empathy, so there is no room for video, but when you see a child that is 3 years old, and the child sees somebody bumping into a door because their hands are filled, the child automatically walks to the door and opens the door. Nobody told him to do so. Nobody educated him on that. It just does. And this is something that on computer, a deterministic machine will never be able to do. So when we look, let's just say artificial intelligence, human intelligence are total two different things. Why? Computer is very good at processing data, calculating very fast, unmemorizing, something that is impossible. Try to unmemorize your awful events in your life. It's very hard. They can clarify stuff, they can find patterns, but they cannot give meaning to it. They cannot contextualize it. And humans, well, we're bad at processing data. We're very good at making bad decisions and very good decisions based on very little data or no data at all. We're unique. We can feel, we can imagine, we can dream. All these things that come out of our emotions, which we cannot clarify. We can read them, but we cannot clarify them. And this is why everybody in this room is not the same. We're all unique for ourselves. And we have consciousness and empathy, something that is impossible to reproduce. So my point here is, real stupidity beats artificial intelligence every time. So this is a self-driving car. Well, let's take the rules and engagement of driving a car. So I paint this around the self-driving car, and it will never be able to push the pedal to the metal and drive from this circle. It will stay still. There's no possibility. And even better, if I take this algorithm from, or deep learning algorithm from a car, and apply it on somebody else or something else, it will not function because it does not have the variables. And this is where we distinguish. We as human beings are able to apply knowledge to all situations around us. If we know that bullets kill people, we know when we go to play a game that bullets in a game will kill us. Or if fire is hot, we know that everything that resembles fire, we run away from it. So we really have to, be realistic about what artificial intelligence is and what intelligence is all about. And of course, this is something that you can find in an AI index. And what astonished me from this, when you look all the developments in artificial intelligence since the 1980s, again, it's not new, we're talking about gains. They are not really movements that are technological improvements or really big leaps that capture us. Well, prostate cancer grading, but nevertheless, you're giving the rules and you're giving the rules of the game to an algorithm, and it figures out what the patterns are. And to push more forward, nowadays, our mega trend for this year are voice and speech recognition software. So everything that has to do with natural language processing. So let me give you an example of how good natural language processing is. Because language as it is ambiguous. So we have here 7 types of 2 words that are differentiating is in what you mean. You good? Are you okay? You good? Are you okay? You good? You're welcome. You good? You need some money? For a computer, without context, without understanding, these are empty words. You're good. That is what it understands. So we're even wondering what computers even think or robots even think about us. And the interesting thing is that why we're not proceeding and making giant leaps is the fact that at this point we're on the top of the food chain. And for us, the human intelligence is the upper level of intelligence. We don't know for nothing better. Maybe if aliens would land and they would be much smarter than us, then we would say, okay, you're the next level of intelligence, can we copy stuff for you? But we're not that far. So what I would like to emphasize here is let us go back, let us land on the ground and face the reality. And the reality is we need to understand our business, we need to understand our problems. And from that, we need to move to data. The first and foremost, data. This is also needed for any of the technologies and techniques that you have seen in the past slides to apply to solve your problems. To do so, you need a data-driven culture. Without data-driven culture, you're pushing in technology and you're adapting stuff just because you're surfing the Me Too hype. And what I would like to give to you is that step back, go back to the basics, understand your business problems, create a culture of innovation, create a culture of data, and then proceed moving in technology, whether it's artificial intelligence techniques or blockchain or Internet of Things, whatever your business may be, really think hard about it and all the process and steps. And when you're there, then you can figure out business problems, AI training internal, so all the techniques, execute pilots, do not take big projects, invest money in stuff that will fail, build an in-house team, do not push it from external, otherwise you will be having vendor lock-ins, and of course develop an AI strategy and develop internal and external communication. So that in a nutshell. That was fast.
Thanks a lot.